The Truth Girls.
Hi everyone, it's Sonia here. Well, yesterday things just kind of hit the fan with the caravan that had come from Honduras, gone through Mexico, and they arrived at the apparently legitimate port of entry known as San Isidro. So basically what happened was all these people showed up and they're sort of camping out around this port of entry, which is, they're supposed to go through these ports of entry. But there's about 5,000 of them just from the caravan alone, kind of hanging around there, sleeping there. And the Border Patrol is only processing 100 migrant applications per day, which means obviously all these people are just kind of stuck there. Nobody wants them to be stuck there. They don't want it. The Mexican government doesn't want it. And the Americans don't want it either. And the biggest fear was, what if they try to rush the border? And this is exactly what finally happened. Well, they had rushed the border from Honduras into Mexico, so maybe they thought they could do the same thing with America. But nope. US agents fired tear gas at migrants approaching the border from Mexico. So they all of a sudden, there was like somebody made a little hole in the fence and they just got the idea to rush the border. I mean, I can understand they're tired of waiting around. There is 5,000 of them and they're getting processed at the rate of 100 a day. So they just kind of figured, screw it. But that's not how it works with the American border. The American government had warned that they were prepared for this kind of a rush. And they warned that they would use, they said at first lethal force, then they said, okay, not lethal force, but we will use tear gas. And this is what they've done. Tear gas people, I've also heard rubber bullets. So we know why they rushed the border. They're tired of waiting. One question was, well, why didn't they stay in Mexico? Well, in this article here from Associated Press, it said Mexico's Interior Ministry said Sunday the country has sent 11,000 Central Americans back to their countries of origin since October 19th, when the first caravan entered the country. It said that 1,906 of those who have returned were members of the recent caravans. Mexico is on track to send a total of around 100,000 Central Americans back home by the end of this year. So there's the answer to the question of why don't they just stay in Mexico? Well, apparently Mexico doesn't want them either. We all know what happened in Europe. People just flooded across the Mediterranean into France, Greece, Spain. Germany took a lot of them, hundreds of thousands of people. And we know that that turned out to be very difficult for those countries. And a lot of Americans were worried that the same thing could happen here. Well, I think that this goes to show that you can put your fears to rest because the American government is having none of it. And even the Mexican government is having none of it. Well, the bottom line is America doesn't have to take these people. It would be nice if they did, of course, on a humanitarian point of view. Wouldn't that be nice to help these people out? But they have to weigh their desire to help some people versus the reality of not being able to help that many people without overburdening their own country. So they have to draw a line somewhere, and the same goes for Mexico. Basically, if you're living in South or Central America and you've got problems, you're pretty much out of luck. If you want to apply as a refugee, you have to go through the regular channels and wait a long time. There is no way to cut the line. And I was looking at what's going on in Honduras. Listen to what's going on in Honduras. Travel advisory, don't go there. There is a high level of violent crime in Honduras, and the country has one of the highest homicide rates in the world. Drug trafficking, transnational organized crime, and the presence of street gangs pose significant security problems. The government of Honduras lacks sufficient resources to properly respond to, investigate, and prosecute cases. Basically, it's a free-for-all, it's lawless. As a result, criminals linked to organized crime operate with a high degree of impunity throughout Honduras. Here's what else they got going on. Kidnapping, extortion, home invasion, robbery, sexual assault, and other forms of aggravated assault are carried out by criminals acting individually or as a group. Narcotic smuggling. I can see why people would want to leave. Trump had approved using lethal force, apparently, against the caravan. He said, if they have to, they're going to use lethal force. I've given the okay. If they have to, I hope they don't have to. I have no choice, Trump said, and without providing evidence added, you're dealing with a minimum of 500 serious criminals and rough people. Personally, I would guess that probably most of these people are just people trying to get away from what's going on in Honduras. Nonetheless, that doesn't mean America has to take them. Oh, and you know, I'm thinking there were so many conspiracy theories about this caravan. Oh, it's because of George Soros. It's this, it's that. You know, first of all, caravans happen all the time, and they have happened frequently over, you know, for a long time. And second, look at what happened. They showed up at the border, they get sent back. All it proves is that the Trump administration is tough on border security, which is what the American people wanted. So was this a conspiracy to make his approval ratings go up? I mean, I think if you want to find a conspiracy, you know, if you look hard enough, you can find something. But I don't really know what this accomplishes other than to show that border security is tight. And honestly, I can't imagine any other outcome. What were they going to do? Just open it up? And if they let those people in, then more are going to come. And this is what America wants to avoid. I can understand that. I did say in my other video, everyone would probably benefit from some kind of immigration reform, Americans and people below the border, but that's another issue. There's one last issue that I want to touch on. Apparently, some people out there are saying this isn't really happening and they're all actors. And I want you to know, if you've heard this, you need to know where this kind of rumor comes from. This originated way back when to a guy called Ed Chiarini and his channel on YouTube called Dallas Goldbug, where he started saying that one person is really another person and that actors can be hired to fake their own deaths or injury or, you know, basically this kind of stuff. We're not talking about hiring some people to stage a protest because that's real. We're talking about people being hired to fake injury or death or something very serious or fake committing a crime. This was Ed Chiarini who started this, and this is a guy who got arrested for meth possession, okay? I'm gonna leave it at that. What does it tell you if a guy who's taking a drug that makes you delusional starts coming up with things that only would make sense in someone's delusion? What does it tell you? The guy's on drugs, he's delusional, he made this stuff up, so please don't be deceived. Don't listen to it. Don't waste your time on that. Anyway, now that I've got that straightened out, I just want to say, let me know what you think, and thanks for giving me a thumbs up, thanks for your support, and thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.